Sorry, about to start. Sorry. Welcome to the Ordinary Council meeting of Wyndham City Council this Tuesday, the 17th of September 2019. In the spirit of reconciliation, before we begin this meeting, we acknowledge the Wadawurrung, Boonwurrung and Woiwurrung people of the Kulin Nation as the first custodians of the land on which this city is being built. We pay respects to elders and the diversity of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities, past, present and future. Please stand for the opening prayer and welcome. We pray for guidance in the Council's decision-making to achieve the best outcome for the people of Wyndham. Please be seated. I would like to welcome members of the gallery, press, councillors and staff here tonight for the Ordinary Council meeting. Some of you may have seen the notices in the foyer, but for those who didn't, I would like to make you aware of the following. This meeting is being recorded and live streamed on the internet. The recording will be archived and made available on Council's website. Whilst all care has been taken to ensure that your privacy is maintained, please be aware that your presence may be recorded. Item 2, apologies. Madam CEO, do we have any apologies this evening?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We do have one apology, and that's from Councillor Aranan, who is on an approved leave of absence.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, I'd also like to take this opportunity to acknowledge our new Director of City Life, who's in the gallery this evening, Alison Kenwood.
Welcome, Alison. Item 3, declaration by councillors. Oh, sorry, yes, I do have to move that motion, don't I? So, councillors, do I have a mover for this item? Thank you, Councillor Barlow. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Gibbons. I now put this motion to a vote. All those in favour? Against? The motion is carried. Thank you for the reminder. Item 3, declaration by councillors of disclosure of conflict of interest, conflicting personal interest in any item of the agenda. Councillors, does anyone have any conflicts of interest that they wish to declare tonight? Thank you, councillors. Item 4, officers' reports. Item 4.1, Wyndham City financial reports for the year ended 30 June 2019. The report is on pages 3 to 9, the recommendation is on page 4, and the attachments are on page 10 to 80. Councillors, do I have a mover for this item? Thank you, Councillor McAliney. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Maynard. Councillor McAliney, as the mover of the motion, would you like to speak to it?
Thank you, Madam
You have
Mayor.
5 minutes.
Thank you. It is my pleasure. I move the recommendation tonight to approve in principle the consolidated annual financial reports for the year ended 30th of June 2019 and sign off with yourself, Councillor Shaw, the consolidated annual report for the 30th of June and performance statements, and you will be approving the governance management checklist. The statements have been prepared in accordance with accounting standards and other regulatory requirements. They have been reviewed by the Victoria Auditor General's agent, Man Judd, and updated as per their feedback. Last week, the Audit and Risk Committee met and we discussed the statements with the external auditors and we had internal auditors present, and we recommend that we authorise the certification of these statements. Overall, Wyndham City is currently in a healthy financial position. Council has achieved an operating surplus of $291.4 million in the 2018-19 period. While this is a very strong result, it is important to note this includes amounts that Council has received from developer contributions of $275.4 million, as well as a one-off recurring grants of $6.7. Taking this into account, our adjusted underlying profit is 9.3. And now this compares to our deficit last year of 16.6 million in the previous year. The underlying adjusted result from previous year relates to the 30 million in major roads and bridge assets that have been taken over by VicRoads over the year. The adjusted underlying results reflect core revenues and expense categories of council services and operations. Developer contributions are made either in cash or in the form of assets that are transferred to council. It is important to stress that these developer contributions come with future financial obligations to this council to build infrastructure and provide for ongoing maintenance of these assets. Performance statements are prepared in accordance with the local government performance reporting framework with the aim of demonstrating both transparency and accountability of council's performance, making up 66 measures and is available on your Know Your Council website. Council's overall net asset base has increased by 291 million, and it's important to note our current assets are currently at 415 million increase. However, 296 of that 415 is committed to specific statutory purposes and are held for future community infrastructure and other capital works projects, leaving 119 million for sufficient working capital. A key highlight to note is the Council has delivered a 120.5 million capital works program this year. This brings great benefit to the community, but also adds to the financial obligations on this Council for ongoing maintenance of those assets, and these obligations need to be factored into future budget settings. I'd just like to close by thanking Binda and her team for the great work that you all do in preparing the financials. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillors, do I have any speakers on this item? Councillor Gilligan.
Only one. I just want to make reference to the indicators in relation to maternal and child health, and note that it is concerning to see a point that was made in the document about a shortage of MCH nurses to the point where there actually isn't a casual pool available. That is quite concerning from a resource perspective, particularly given the amount of children that we have born here each week, the dependency on that service, and ultimately, again, largely relates to the state, but it's something that I was surprised with in terms of some of the indicators that are published as part of these financial statements every year, and something I just wanted to state on the record. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Gilligan. The question I also asked as part of that as well, so I have a reply I can share with you following the meeting. Councillors, any other speakers on this item? Councillors, Councillor Barlow.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Look, there is an urban myth in local government that people are overcharged on their rates, and I'm not a big fan of that urban myth. When you have a look at very early in this part where it says operating result, they have a look in total income, which includes monetary and non-monetary contributions from developers, user fees, grants from various state and maybe federal in some cases, funding and that. 600, the income for this council in the last 12 months of the financial year 18-19 was 623.9 million. And yet, rates and charges, which is your normal land rates, and also the charges from waste that we charge to collect waste and recyclables, is only 201.3 million, which is less than a third. So I know I've had many discussions with people over the last 20 years about, where is the rate money, the amount of rates, where is it spent and what it's done. I think people need to realise that when you're running an organisation this large and a professional organisation that has to provide over 100 services and look after 280,000 people, it is not a cheap exercise. We are not the Shire of Werribee anymore. We are the city of Wyndham. And I think the way we're growing, we're going to land up becoming the greater city of Wyndham, because we are now the second largest city outside of Melbourne in Victoria. So I know I have many discussions with people, and I say to them, well, I know that sometimes people find it hard to pay their rates, but you also find it hard to pay your mortgage. You find it hard to pay for your school fees for your kids.
One more minute, Councillor Barlow.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. You find it hard to actually pay for the growing prices in petrol. That's the way of the world. It's the way of the world. And I think for what the people of Wyndham get from this council is far and above a wonderful service, I believe. And the fact that we do it with only taking rates, that's business and residential, and whatever, rates and charges are only 201 million in a budget, total income of 623.9 million with the budgets that we do, I think is a good service for what you pay for.
Thank you, Councillor Barlow. Do I have any other speakers on this item? I now move this item for a vote. All those in favour? All those against? The motion is carried. Item 4.2, K Road Cliffs Master Plan. The report is on pages 81 to 87. The recommendation is on page 82. The attachments are on pages 88 to 116. Councillors, do I have a mover for this item? Thank you, Councillor Maynard. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor McAloney. Councillor Maynard, would you like to speak to this item?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I most certainly would.
5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Madam Mayor, as we well know, the K Road Cliffs are an iconic site in Wyndham, much loved for their beautiful red cliffs surrounding the riverside landscape, abundant and at times rare bird life, and I think it's an amazing site, as I've said. The need to improve the site and to better manage the area has been evident for many years, and it is encouraging to know that the master plan has received a high level of appraisal and community support. The K Road Cliffs Master Plan is an important opportunity for Council to demonstrate leadership and its commitment to protecting and enhancing an iconic landscape site. This site has been neglected for far too long, and I'm glad we can demonstrate to other tiers of government, as we have in the past and will continue to do in the future, Madam Mayor, and public agencies, how to lead the way and create a legacy. The Master Plan is a strong example of community responsive design, where local values and priorities have led to formation of the future vision for a unique and much loved place in Wyndham. The results of the community engagement process demonstrate that the order of importance applied to the design principles are consistent with the funding allocation outlined in the master plan, with erosion management, habitat enhancement and improved access accounting for the most significant project costs. And Madam Mayor, as Council most certainly does on a number of occasions, leads by example, this Council, as the relevant Drainage and Road Authority, will commit $800,000 towards improvement works at the site for this financial year. And endorsing the K Road Cliffs Master Plan will allow Council to pursue external funding sources for its implementation whilst using Council funding as leverage, something that we continually have to do. This includes a funding application to the Growing Suburbs Fund as specified in the report. It will also provide an opportunity, Madam Mayor, to establish an appropriate committee of management agreement with the state government as part of the implementation of the plan. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Maynard. Councillors, do I have any other speakers on this item? Councillor Marcus.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As Councillor Maynard said, the K Road Cliffs are an iconic site in Wyndham, and I guess many people come here to photograph them and the surrounding river and the side landscapes. 10 years ago, the erosion of the cliffs and the drainage issues were brought up at a Werribee South ratepayers meeting. It has taken us a long time for the work and this master plan to eventuate. As we know, the cliff site is owned by DELP as a Crown Land Reserve, but Council have managed this site for many years under an informal arrangement. Council have worked with committees over the years, and it will be extremely important that a committee is formed with DELP, Melbourne Water, Parks Victoria, and the recently formed Werribee South residents who have played such a major part in this master plan. I would now like to take this opportunity to thank them for their hours of work, their education, their knowledge and their passion for these cliffs. I would also like to thank our Acting Director Peter McKinnon, Sue Neal, Antoinette McHale, and also Mark Hammett, who has spent a lot of time working with the committees over the last 10 years. But I guess I am really disappointed that there were so very few surveys that were completed, 43 in total, 14 from Werribee and 14 from Werribee South, which I feel is not a lot on such an iconic cliffs that we have in this city. I think the important survey results certainly indicated the high level of support for the reduction in the erosion and to protect the unique cliff geology. Secondly, to protect and enhance the national vegetation, habitat and ecology of this site. These are many people's concerns and also mine.
One more minute, councillor.
Okay, I'll try. It is interesting to note from the reports I have seen, by magnifying the pair of pictures and measuring the site from one of the reports, it appears that roughly 20% of the cliff top has been lost to erosion since 1975, along with the narrowest part of the cliff top. The loss of the sugar gums from the heritage windrow along this same area is so strikingly reduced simply by counting the number of lines of sugar gums remaining along the different sections of the cliff top. Therefore, it is so important that the drainage works commence as quickly as possible. The attachments in this agenda item set out many important aspects which I hope we look at carefully before they are implemented. I would like to see the history highlighted, like the Churnside and the probable Hume and Hovell travels in this area. It would be good to work with council and DELWP and having one of the viewing platforms over by the golf club, because this is where you can see the cliffs, not on the top of the K Road cliffs. So I would hope that we'll have a good look at that and perhaps only put one or two on the top of the cliffs.
You just start
I would
winding up,
also
councillor.
like to thank council, who have set aside $880,000 for the drainage and the car park work in 2019-20 and 2020-21 budgets. It is important to pursue funding also through the growing funds for the rest of the work. So thank you. Thank you again to Peter McKinnon and his staff.
Thank you, councillor. Are there any other speakers on this item? Councillor Khan.
Madam Mayor, I just won't go too much in detail. Just like to say that $3.4 million going to spend on this project, and it's good to see that council is spending $880,000 on drainage infrastructure. I think the drainage and all these services, which is we're adding it should be responsibility of the other side of the authorities, because council does not own the land, and of course it's a crown land, but we are happy to make a commitment and make this beautiful heritage and nice project to be public so they can use and access. But at the same time though, I wish the state government can put some more money so council can utilize that 880,000 of funds to fund other areas where we are actually really needs. I know that we're committed, I want to do it, but I'm disappointed that the Labor government, particularly the areas, those people being elected here, being a treasurer of this state, should look at and make sure, give us
Madam
more
Mayor,
money.
can I call a point of order, please?
Councillor Maynard, what is your point
Yeah,
of
meeting
order?
protocol, procedure protocol, clause 24(1). The council must not make statements that could mislead the public and make every effort to ensure the information they refer to is accurate. Madam Mayor, Yep.
Yes.
As I said in my speaking notes, the council is the responsible drainage and road authority, so that's
correct.
why we have to spend the money, Councillor Khan.
So thank you, Councillor Maynard. Councillor Khan, that is actually correct. Council is responsible for the drainage and infrastructure, which is why we have actually allocated the money this financial year. Please continue. You've got 1 minute.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think it's very disappointing that the councillor is not listening what I say. I think he's got to listen. I said that the state government need to put more money. State government need to put more money, and the elected member of this area must listen to us. We're spending $880,000. That could go anywhere in other side of the areas where we needed more. I did not say that this is not a council responsibility. So I'm sure that, people now pay attention and don't be rude and racist, because if they don't understand,
Councillor Maynard.
I think let me
Councillor
speak,
Maynard,
people. This is very rude.
Councillor Khan, I did hear you also say about drainage and infrastructure, about it not being a council responsibility. Councillor Maynard is correct. It was a point of order. It's been upheld. Would you like to continue with what else you would like to say on the K Road Cliffs?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Look,
Thank
I did
you,
acknowledge
Councillor.
that it's council responsibility. Of course, it's in a city of council, but again, you know, I just like to say the state government can put more money, and those people don't want to see the more money, they can go and praise them. But I'd like to see that more state government should put more money so we can utilise more funds. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Khan. Councillor, are there any, councillors, anyone else? Councillor McElhinney, thank you.
Thank you. I wholeheartedly support the master plan, and it's long overdue. Council is investing considerable amount into a tourist attraction that is perhaps one of the most hidden gems in Wyndham, and it's only 5 minutes from the CBD. So it's really amazing how you can come from a CBD to see these amazing scenery. The engagement process has been consistent with our council's community engagement framework and part of our Wyndham 2040. I agree it's now time that we have formal arrangements with DELT, Parks Victoria, the residents in Werribee Council, and have a committee of management in accordance with the Crown Land Reserves Act. As numerous councils have stated, we're putting in 880,000, and I hope that we are successful with external funding. Having recently worked close by, I have to say, no matter how bad a photographer you are, photos are always amazing, breathtaking, and show true beauty. I'd just like to make the other comment that the government has recently put in $1.8 billion worth of roadworks into our city, as we can all see at this moment. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillors, do I have any other speakers? Councillor Hooper?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I wasn't going to speak, but look, I think hearing the commentary tonight, this site is absolutely majestic. When you go to the views and you look over those cliffs, the colours, the vibrancy, the life that just springs up is just something to behold. Yeah. It really, really is. And then you pop on a TripAdvisor, some of the comments there. We travelled along part of the cliffs in a small open bus from the Werribee Zoo. A beautiful outlook with African animals in the background. Great, don't miss it. And there's comments like that all the way through. It is absolutely a vital tourism attraction, and it's absolutely impressive to see that not only are the works being done to enhance it and enhance the experience of the people that are going to be going there, but to actually preserve it so that the 20% of erosion doesn't occur in the future, that it will be there for future generations. It really is a legacy item, and I'm proud to see it happen. Yeah. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Councillor Hooper. Councillor Barlow, thank you.
Very briefly, Madam Mayor, I'd just like to support the comments about the K Road Cliffs, and Councillor Marcus mentioned it, that they do look beautiful in that. When I was a young man, I used to fish on the other side of the river, and when the sun comes down in the west, the sun actually... Thank you, Councillor Maynard. The sun comes down in the west, and as the sun starts to dip down, it actually brings out the colour of the K Road Cliffs, that red colour. And I notice on page 12 of this report, there's going to be a fishing spot down past on the southern side of the golf course down there, and I would suggest that a spot that's going to be allocated for fishing would also be a very key area for people who want to go down there during the sunset stage of the K Road Cliffs and just look at the redness of the cliffs as the sun's coming down in the west. And it really is something well worth seeing. And if my memory serves me correctly, just about every time I see a painting of the K Road Cliffs, they're always in red. And so the artists that actually have painted them or taken photos in the past have always probably gone down on that western side of the river to be able to take the picture on the southeastern side. So I also support fully the work that's being done.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillors, any other speakers on this item?
No pressure on the others.
I
intend to vote in favour, and it's great to see just as much commentary on the last item as there was on this one.
Oh, that's terrific. Well done. I agree. Thank you, Councillor Gilligan. No other speakers? Councillors, I now move this item to a vote. All those in favour? All those against? The motion is carried. Excellent. Item 5, confidential business. There are nil. Item 6, close of meeting at 7:24 PM this evening. Thank you, councillors.